Today we're going to be talking about how to overcome nice guy syndrome in the simplest, most effective way possible. For those of you who don't know, nice guy syndrome, simply put, is this desire to constantly try to be seen as nice. It's like people pleasing if it were an entire identity. This basic premise of being nice is a strategy designed to make people like you. For some nice guys, this is about trying to make all people like them. And for others, it's about a certain type of person they're trying to get the approval of, usually attractive women. Now, I think nice guy syndrome and people-pleasing in general is hugely prevalent around the world. I think literally billions of people suffer from this in some way or another. And it seems like a very complicated thing to deal with. There's sexual shame. There's fear of rejection. There's having an entire lifestyle based on other people's pressure. There's heaps of overthinking. There's emotional suppression and a big dose of social anxiety. All of these things combined together, and there's many more things on top of all of this, makes nice guy syndrome seem like a really complicated thing to work through, like it's going to be really difficult to build confidence and become authentic from this position. Luckily, it's actually really simple to overcome nice guy syndrome as long as you're prepared to be very courageously honest about one particular thing: your preferences. Preferences are simply what you like versus what you don't like, what you want versus what you don't want. Very simple. It makes up everything about who you are, and no matter what type of nice guy you are, this will be one thing that all nice guys have in common. They are dishonest in some way about their preferences. Most of them are very dishonest about them. Some examples of this dishonesty: being overly agreeable or easygoing, making it out like you don't really care one way or the other, or always trying to fit in with what the group wants or what your partner wants, and never really resisting against or taking a stand against what everybody wants. Being indecisive, and more specifically knowing what you want or what you like, but hesitating to act on that, hesitating to express it. What I call green light syndrome. Wanting to do something but always waiting for permission or invitation or leadership from someone else. Like if you wanted to go for a promotion, you wait for your boss to invite you to go for a promotion. Or if you want to ask someone out on a date, you wait for them to look at you and smile. There's constant waiting for a green light to go. Withdrawing when you get a bad reaction. So every time you asking for what you want or telling people what you like versus what you dislike, every time that gets a negative reaction, you take it back and you try to moderate and you say, well, I see your point and maybe I guess from that perspective, blah, blah, blah. And you kind of end up giving up what you originally stood for. Being vague or hesitant or otherwise kind of apologetic about what you want and like and what you don't want and dislike. So like asking someone out but saying something like, well, do you maybe want to hang out sometime? Instead of saying, I like you, I'd love to see you tonight. Or trying to be cool. Trying not to appear too eager or too excited or too passionate about anything. Kind of showing that kind of blasé, apathetic attitude that nice guys think looks cool and calm and basically unaffected. Being honest about your preferences means not doing any of those forms of dishonesty, instead being very direct about what you want and what you don't want, what you like and what you dislike. It's about going all in. If you like something, you go all in on it. If you don't like it, you go all out. This kind of hell yes versus hell no thing that I got from Mark Manson. And it doesn't matter what the outcome is. It's okay to not win. It's okay to express something you want and not get it, or tell someone you like them and they don't like you back. Expressing your preference honestly is what is really going to cure nice guy syndrome. You don't actually have to get what you want, you just have to be honest about it. So for example, you might be with a group of people and everybody wants to go and get Chinese for dinner. You say, I want pizza. Now maybe you'll get voted down and everyone goes for Chinese, but at least you said you wanted pizza and you don't pretend that you now want Chinese. You hold strong with your pizza. It can be things as small as that make the hugest difference to nice guy syndrome in the longer term. You got to make sure you take a stand. If you're not sure, then consider yourself all out. It's a big no from you. Treat everything as either hell yes or hell no, and if it's not hell yes, then by default it's hell no. That's one particular strategy you can take. Another strategy that I like to use is what I call the 51% rule. Now the problem with being a nice guy is you've probably suppressed emotion for a lot of your life, so you actually lose feeling. You don't even really know what you want because you have no strong feelings about anything from all of this suppression. Now the 51% rule is this idea that if you're 51% for something and 49% against it, then you consider yourself all in. Now if you're 51% against something, you consider yourself all out. This idea, if you feel even slightly in favor or against, then treat that as if you feel 100% that way, because your emotion is so vague and so suppressed and so weak and so shallow that you kind of have to take the tiniest hints and extrapolate on them. It's also really important that you give yourself permission to end things. Most nice guys have a chronic fear of commitment. They don't want to get themselves into anything, even though they desperately also want to get themselves into things. It's a great paradox. But one of the reasons is because they don't trust their decision making. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they want and what they dislike and so on. So they're afraid of making a decision that goes into the long term because they can't trust their own decision making. Well, one way you can relieve the pressure is becoming good at ending things. Allow yourself to know that just because you go all in on something doesn't mean all in forever. For example, if I really like a girl on a date, going all in just means having one more date with her. It doesn't mean marrying her. And if I really like my job, then I'll just stay one more week. On the other hand, if I really am all out, then I go all out. If I've started my job a week ago and I really don't like it, quit. If I dated a girl and I really don't like her, don't see her again. Be good at ending things, because once you get good at ending things, you'll be able to trust yourself to take a risk with going all in, knowing that you can pull back if it turns out to be the wrong call. Why should you do this? Because then you'll figure out who the fuck you are. Your personality is essentially a combination of likes and dislikes, wants and not wants. Your preferences make up who you are, and if you don't know what your preferences are, then you don't know who you are. And if you start being more honest about them, you'll figure out what they really are, which means you'll figure yourself out. Not only that, you'll have the confrontations you need to have. People will know what you really want, and so you'll actually start getting it sometimes. You'll push away and polarize people who are bad for you, because your true views and your true interests and your true preferences will be very kind of magnetic to people who like you and very disgusting to people who don't. You'll be more honest, you'll build self-respect, and in the end, you build self-confidence. And that's how simple it is to overcome nice guy syndrome. Just be honest about your preferences. Whenever the opportunity comes up to make a choice, make that choice boldly. Remember, you don't have to win. You might end up getting argued down. That's fine, as long as you express it clearly and you hold strong until your mind genuinely changes, until you find out, actually that thing I went for isn't what I want. At least now I know that. Your preferences will tell you who you are, and once you know who you are, your confidence will rise, your self-respect will rise, and nice guy syndrome will no longer be a problem for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Appreciate you watching it all the way through to the end. If you liked it or you got things to say, please comment below and share it around. And of course, if you're struggling with nice guy syndrome or people pleasing and you'd like to become more confidently authentic this year so that you can respect yourself and know who the fuck you are, get in touch. dan@brojo.co.nz. This kind of work is my absolute specialty. I've taken thousands of nice guys from being confused about who they are to being boldly confident and enjoying their lives. I'd love to do the same for you. Cheers.